Welcome back to In Ohio Country today, and joining me now is Luke Baker, President and CEO of Brookside Labs, and that's in New Bremen, right?
That's correct, New Bremen, Ohio.
You guys started in New Knoxville and then moved to New Bremen. Let's talk about the growth of Brookside Labs.
Yeah, so we were in New Knoxville for, probably close to 60 years, and we had just grown so much over the years, and we were landlocked in our location there and had the opportunity to move to a new 6-acre location, New Bremen, and we took that opportunity, and we built a brand new facility in 2011, and since then we've had to expand because growth has just been so good.
It's more than just soil testing, right?
Oh yeah, soil testing, plant tissue analysis, manures, fertilizers, you name it. Some environmental work. We also do a lot of technology stuff too, working on seeding prescriptions and fertilizer recs and things like that.
Now, Luke, you grew up on the farm down at Jackson Center. Why don't you talk about growing up?
Yeah, so I always joke about my childhood compared to my wife's and my son's childhood, because it's completely different, because we live in town in Troy. But yeah, I grew up on a small dairy farm. And my dad and uncle are actually here today, but yeah, it was my dad and grandpa. They milked probably 30, 40 cows, and we farmed about 500 acres. And, it was just, there's no experience like it. The work ethic that I have today, I got from that. I mean, the baling hay on the 90-degree days, but man, did I have a lot of fun doing it.
And what led you to Brookside Labs? How did that transpire?
So I was finishing my degree at K-State, and I was kind of looking at my options, and I had options to go work for the Environmental Protection Agency, and because my degree is in soil chemistry, and so I had a lot of experience in the environmental realm with that, and so I had that choice, and I was kind of chasing a girl at the time, and then I decided that probably wasn't smart, and then this job came up in New Knoxville, and I decided to come home. So it was a smart thing to do, because then I met my wife. She taught across the street at the high school in New Knoxville, and so here we are today.
Yeah, you guys probably had several dates at the marathon station there in New Knoxville.
Yeah, at the marathon station, and actually our first date would be like she would bring her classes over to me, and I would tour the lab, and so.
That's a great story. Let's talk a little bit more about Brookside Labs too. I mean, you guys, the service area that you work with. Let's talk about your clients and your clientele and who you're working with.
Yeah, so we work with an independent network of consultants. So independent is that they own their own businesses, and the name of the consultant group is the Amplify Consultants. So we rebranded that a few years ago from Brookside to Amplify to try to separate them from the lab. And so our main job is to support them, and we support them with all kinds of agronomic solutions, whether it be from the testing to technology to education to help them grow their business. Peer groups and trials, and you name it. That's what we do, is we support those consultants, and it's a global network too. And so that's what's really cool about it, is we support people not only here in the United States, we support people in South Africa, the Netherlands, Southeast Asia, New Zealand, Australia, India. It's all over the world. We serve like 37 countries.
Luke, let's talk about technology. I mean, it's definitely changed. There's a lot of things that are happening today with regards to the different types of soils, and if you're testing stuff all over the world, it's got to be a challenge. But technology-wise, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, from the lab standpoint, technology has gotten, I mean, it's even advanced since when I first started at Brookside 15 years ago. Or 16 years ago. We used to only maybe be able to do about 1,000 soil samples a day. We can do over 4,000 soil samples a day on a single shift. So the technology has gotten so good that like we can put stuff on. We have robots, and that's a cool thing. We allow people to come in and tour the labs, and we show those things off to people. But we have robotics. We have all the state-of-the-art equipment. We're constantly looking to upgrade to new equipment, new procedures. We're just trying to be lead the industry.
And what does that mean for producers and for your clients?
Well, it helps them make better decisions. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is we're trying to help them make better decisions, because, we're talking about it here this morning. Every talk that I've been in, we talk about return on investment, return on investment, return on investment. And that's what we focus on as well, is we want to help the farmer return on that investment, because it's tight out there. I mean, money is tough anywhere, and we just want people to help run their operations like businesses, and we want them to put food on their table for the families, just like I want to do that as well.
A lot of things are changing too. I mean, we talk all the time about global climate change and how that affects the environment, but how do those things affect the soils and some of the things that you're testing and what you're looking for to help improve the production agriculture that's out there?
Yeah, so over the last probably 5 years, we've really got into working with a lot of these large carbon markets, and we're doing a ton of testing on helping people try to put more carbon in the soil and try to remove it from the atmosphere to put it in the soil. That's one of the biggest things. For the producer, it's how do I gain more longevity? How do I get to be more resilient? How to make my operation more resilient? Because, let's face it, the temperatures are warming, the weather is more random than it's ever been. I mean, we hardly ever have a snowfall anymore. I mean, and when we do, it's gone tomorrow. It doesn't last for the weeks like it did even when I was a kid. And you probably can go back and remember even longer. So it's really about how do we help them build resiliency in their operations, and we do it through testing, we do it through technology, we're experimenting. We have our own software solution that we're trying to help them with data and teach them how to make data-driven decisions, and so those are some of the things that we're doing.
And that's some of the customization that you do. It's not a cookie cutter type of process at your place. You customize those testings for the individual companies that you're working for, and that's got to be a real challenge.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So when you work globally, you have different needs too, and different crops. We're used to corn, soybeans, and wheat. When you go global, you're looking at, one of our largest consultants actually works with all the tree fruit growers in the state of Washington. So, we're working with tens of thousands of acres of apples, or we get stuff in, and I get questions on citrus, and I don't have any experience necessarily in that, and so it's about how do we help them find solutions as well.
Do you help them from the genetic standpoint too, or how does that work?
No, we tend not to do genetics. Just from a production standpoint, we're helping them. Now we try to help them identify what genetics they should put where.
Okay.
But as far as developing genetics, we don't do any of that.
As far as the testing is concerned, it's something that you're probably doing 24/7. Is that true? You guys are probably running all the time, right?
Actually, we don't. We with the robotics and everything, we're able to have one shift, and we load all the robots up, and as long as they work, then we can push the buttons, and we can kind of walk away and go do other things. So we have like 45 employees currently now, and that's enough to do all the work that we need to do.
What's the quality control on the robotics then, and the different types of equipment that you guys use?
Yeah, so we do probably more quality control than any other laboratory in the world. So we participate in several programs that most agricultural laboratories do, but every 50 samples, we're running blind QCs to the laboratory. And if something's off, we're identifying it right away and then running back and rechecking that. The second line of defense that we have is our consultants. And because they are taking samples either every year or every other year for a grower, they know what the past is like. And if our sample we release to them is off trend, they let us know, and we can go back and we can retest that sample. Because things do happen. Robots do make mistakes. So you have 50 samples between that blind QC. Something can go wrong.
So let's talk a little bit about your relationship with Apple Farm Service and what you're speaking about today here at the Farm Forum.
Yeah. So Apple's the relationship with them was they wanted us on their podcast. And so we did a podcast with them, and then we did a lab tour, and they were just really blown away by the facility and everything. And so we got into the discussion that day of, hey, we should start up a farm forum. And we like to do that. So we have an event with our consultants and their growers that we do here in a few weeks. We're holding that in San Antonio. But we thought it'd be neat to have something local we could provide for the local community and the local growers. And so that's how that all came about. I'm speaking today on soil fertility considerations, drones, and then just a little mention on soil health.
And that's got to be part of the changing landscape when we're talking about drones, because there's so much involved in analyzing and working in the field, and also getting into fertilization and seeding and all that. So I think having some kind of connection and understanding of how that affects the bottom line for our producers out there is very important.
Oh, it's massive, because agriculture is going in that direction. Everything's going to get, so today we have this large equipment that it can't even fit down the road anymore. Eventually it's going to get smaller again, and it's going to be all autonomous, and you're going to hit go and it's going to go do the work, and you're going to plant you're only going to plant sections of the field that are fit, but you're going to hit the robot and tell it, you go do that, it's fit. And then they're going to come back later and plant the hill or the valley, or this is going to be completely different.
And the soil testing will be done that way too, I'd imagine.
Yeah, potentially it could be done that way in the future as well. There's definitely challenges with that at this point, and so we're many years away from that on that side, because it's probably going to be easier to ask the plant how it's doing than ask the soil how it's doing.
Luke Baker, President CEO of Brookside Labs in beautiful New Bremen, Ohio, has been our guest, courtesy of our friends at Apple Farm Service here at the Farm Forum. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much.
And we'll be back with more in Ohio Country today right after this.